Okay, let's start saving and loading transaction from the database. We will use the SQLite database in order to save data to the local database. The first step is to go to the Cryptolite project, right-click Manage NuGet Packages, and add SQLite net PCL package. That was the first step. The second step is to add to the common folder new database folder and put database constants and repository class to it. You can find these files in the code snippets provided in the resources section. We'll be using the repository class in order to have a generic class for performing common database operations. If you are not familiar with the repository pattern, basically we define the interface, and to that interface we say we want to have some common operations. So we will have get by ID method, delete async, get all async, forget all elements from the saved table, and save async method. Save async method will be used for inserting and updating items in the table. Now for the actual implementation, we are using the repository class, which has one generic parameter, and this is type of database item. So what is a database item? Database item is an interface stating that every model, that is every class we want to save to the database, it needs to have the int ID. That's the only criteria. In order to simplify things, I have also defined the base database item abstract class, which already defines this ID as primary key of the table, and it will be auto incremented every time we save a new item to the table. Moving on to the rest of the repository implementation, we use the lazy initializer variable to define new SQLite async connection, and then in the constructor we call initialize async to create a new table using the SQLite async connection. Save fired and forget is an extension coming from the task extension class. The save fire and forget provides us a way to call an async method from the constructor so that we can perform some async operation in the repository constructor. And then the rest of the implementation, get by ID uses database.table to get the item based on the ID. Delete async removes the item from the table. Get all async just goes to the database and returns all item as list. And finally, we have save async. So if item ID is different than 0, meaning that the item has been saved before, we perform update async. Otherwise, we insert this item as a new item in the table.